guys. It's ASMR Gaming Geek here, and for tonight's video, I decided to go for something a little bit different. As my usual sort of intro catchphrase, as you will, but this time I'm actually being serious. But no, so for this, I guess, I don't want to say episode, but like video, I will be showing you guys how to do a 3D model for an in-game sort of scenery. If any of you who watch my content, some of you who have been there for a long time may know that I do 3D modeling and have in the past worked for a game company. With experience in that sort of stuff is very good fun, but a lot of work, and it's very time consuming. So I thought for this lovely Halloween video, I thought of doing something very small, very tiny, very simple, and very easy to do. So if any of you find this actually relaxing or educating, then it's a win-win for me then, and a win-win hopefully for you guys. But yeah, I thought we'd just do a simple Halloween pumpkin, and then sprinkle a little bit of some extra stuff on it, but that's right at the end. So, but yeah, I hope you guys will find this fun, and yeah, it is just how games pretty much work, especially in our days with 3D stuff. So like Skyrim, Witcher, they're all pretty much like this. They all are made in this sort of way. So yeah, without further ado, and without me blabbering on, let's get started, and I shall go through the process in very short highlights as quickly as I can, but also with basic detail. So yeah, let's go. Woo! Now, like an idiot, this is a perfect start for the video, isn't it? Like an idiot, I didn't realise that the footage of me got corrupted when I was downloading on my computer. So, unfortunately, the part where it was actually me like doing the stuff, like all the hard work and whatnot, that's all for naught, because I haven't got it recorded now, so I'm just gonna have to improvise like I always do. But with that being said, I hope you still find this interesting and somewhat professional, and yeah, I will just try and commentate and go through the basic stuff with you, even though I probably won't be able to catch up because it's in the time that I've edited it now. So I'm just going to go through them with you and go through the basics, and yeah, so let's put that through, just getting that old elephant in the room out of the way. But yeah, let's go. So to start with, we are doing going on Maya, the program Maya, and with the program, it's a nice little basic start for us. So a clean canvas, if you will, just to get a basic model in. So with that, we get a model from the left side, and then make a little sphere. So by clicking it, and then when you go and click on the sphere, it's nice particular surfaces and numbers. So you got to change the number to at least 8. Actually no, I changed that to 10 actually. Yeah, change that to 10. Do it 10. So now the poly is now just 10 on each side, so relatively low poly for this pumpkin. But yeah, the next part we'll be doing is the vertexes, and with the vertexes we're just pushing that down. Just pushing that down, and yeah, we're just popping that through there, just like that, going through the edges. The edges now for this part is basically just making sure that we have a smooth top, so a nice smooth little shaved top on it, and a nice little hole in between, so it's just going downwards and inwards to itself. And then we have the bevel on the edges just to smooth it out a bit, and then we're just extruding it now, just extruding, and yeah, just pushing that further down for the edges. Again, this is just going through some of the edges that you have to try and smooth out a bit and try and add a bit more detail to it. So you start off with very basic. So in here, in between, there'll be a line that I'm going to cut through. So there you go. In between of the edges, there'll be a line that we cut through. And then the same thing will happen for the rest of the actual pumpkin. So we're going to go around and make little lines in between. So once we've done that, we just push them up just like that, and then squeeze them out a bit to make it again more rigid outer area. But at the moment it looks almost like a dragon fruit actually, rather than a pumpkin. But yeah, so with that we're now adding a bit more lines in between in the center. Again, just to try and make it look a bit more smooth, because if you don't add the lines, sometimes it'll show some really awkward shadows, so be careful of that. But yeah, once you've done that, you do the bottom half as well, which is what, went through here. Just getting through that, and then just highlighting all the edges, just going round it, round it, round it. And then afterwards, bevel again. So when you bevel, it literally just adds a bit more poly to it, so a bit more lines, so extra detail, making it smoother. So then, yeah, going through that, beveling again with the other outer lines. So then again, it makes the whole thing smooth, but still outer part will be a little bit jagged. And then in the center is when we have our little stump, a little tree stump, or a branch, if you will, in the pumpkin. And then we're just extruding it out. Just extruding it out, just extruding it out. So just pushing that out there. So extrude is literally just putting it up, like adding an extra layer of the same faces. And the same thing we're going to be doing at the bottom half as well. So it will pretty much just be pushing it in and then pushing it back out by extruding it. So you'll see in a minute. But yeah, getting the bit of the radius out and then pushing out, extruding. So yeah, and then just tidying up some little lines that I missed out on, which is yeah, not very professional. But this is a lot of problems you have to solve. It's a lot of problem solving when you're going through some 3D modeling. And we are just going around through the bottom half with the vertexes, not on all of them, just on specific ones, and then pushing them out and down, so then to make it a little bit of a harder edge at the bottom. So now we've done pretty much our pumpkin, yay! But now we have to get to the point where I have to talk about the UV mapping. Now, UV unwrapping and UV mapping is a very complex thing to discuss, but it's very simple once you get the hang of it. In short, unwrapping, so you got a model, but you need to treat it like it's an actual map. So with the map, as you can see here, the map is controlling the texture side of it. So in short, whenever you want to add color or something like that, it'll look very fuzzy if you don't clean up your UV map. So you have to very neaten it up a bit. So it probably doesn't explain a lot, but yeah, that's pretty much the summary of UV unwrapping. So you have to tidy up your UV maps in order to make the texture look good and clean and polished. And once you've done that, it's like a little chessboard sort of thing. So you just got to make sure that the chessboard looks very neat and tidy and as clean as possible. That's basically the summary of UV unwrapping as best as I can do it. So you're just unwrapping the whole thing like an orange, like you're unwrapping it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We got our pumpkin, we got the UV unwrap done. Onto ZBrush. So the ZBrush stuff is again just a bit more in detail. It's actually let me just pause the video for a second so I can try and catch up. So the idea of the idea of ZBrush is that it's a very professional way of going about doing a high poly. So in Maya we were doing a very low poly, and now in ZBrush we get that low poly and we import it into ZBrush. So this program here, and what I did, and unfortunately I didn't add that bit in because again recording for multiple clips are terrible. I had to add divisions to it. So in short, and again I'll put it on the video of what I mean, but when you divide something in ZBrush, it's like adding extra detail and adding extra poly, so adding a lot of squares and triangles to make it all smooth. So when you play like old PlayStation games or Xbox games, it's very how do I put it? It's very low quality, and you can see the squares and stuff like that. So that will be with an old game. But in here, you're putting a lot of high quality into it, so into a low poly. So you're just getting a lot of high quality, high detail in here. So just a summary: this is high quality stuff, you know, high poly, to get nice details. So anyway, I'm going to carry on pressing play, because I don't want to confuse all of you at once. It's a lot of info I'm downloading into your heads. But yeah, to sum it up, it's just nice high quality, so high poly stuff, so you can add all the details. So for me in this instance, I'm adding a smile, like a creepy Halloween smile to our pumpkin. So for example, so yeah, this was our low poly, and now it's going to be our high poly pumpkin. So it's like two versions of it. But yeah, there's a terrible looking smile, so we're going to actually do it properly this time. That was just an example. And now I'm going to do a few eyes sort of thing, just to get the, again, spooky Halloween vibe with the pumpkin, because at the moment it just looks like a very nice pumpkin. And another thing I forgot to mention actually, and I don't think I recorded this bit, which is a bit of a pity, as I'm playing around with the idea of with the eyes and whatnot, but with this stump and like the rest of the pumpkin, I added a little bit more detail when I put it as high poly. So when I was in ZBrush, which again unfortunately I couldn't record, as I'm doing a nicer smile, and this one I'm hoping is the proper smile now. But yeah, you can see on the side of the pumpkins little small lines and ridges, and even on the top of the pumpkin is like the, you know, the branch thing, and I managed to smooth it out and add a bit of rough detail to it. So again, in ZBrush you can have a lot of fun, and as you can see, I'm having a lot of fun making the smiley face of my pumpkin. Look at it, look at it. It's very nice, and again very detailed, not a lot of low quality, it's very high quality. So now we're doing this part, which is basically just you're covering it with a bit of coat, so it's like a black coat of paint. You're masking it basically, so that when you mask it, it won't, no matter how many times you want to stretch it or change the mesh or the object, it will not move. The black part of it will stay still. It's like protecting it almost, so you can't mess up when you want to add detail. I feel like this is almost like a what's it? It's just another ASMR style of relaxation sort of thing, of just painting. And I wish I could show you the whole thing, but this whole video would be like 2 hours long, probably more, because yeah, it's very time consuming. But anyway, so yeah, as you can see here, I changed, so I put everything in all black to stop everything else move, and then the things that are white, I can move it. So if you can see here, I'm trying to push back the eyes and the face, and sorry, the eyes and the mouth, to push it back and try and give that smile a proper detail smile, you know, so as if it was carved, because in pumpkins you carve the smile and you carve the eyes, which is part of the fun. So same thing goes here really. And there you go. That's our very high poly, high quality, if you will, part of the pumpkin. So we're making two versions. The low one was in Maya, the first part, and now this is the high quality one. Now I'm entering into the really fun stage, which is texturing this pumpkin. So with the whole idea of Substance Painter, which is this program by the way, is that you're meant to just texture it, but we've got the low poly installed here, and these are the details here by the way of what I used, if you ever want to try it. But yeah, so we got the low poly, but now we need to bake the high poly model with what we did in ZBrush into here. So we're going to combine it. The low poly is the shell, and the high poly is the paint around it. So, as you're going to see in a minute, it's going to bake the high poly pumpkin onto it, like onto the skin, almost. Very creepy. So yeah, the low poly is still going to be there, so we don't have to waste a lot of high quality. So we've got a high quality skin, but then a very low quality bone. That's basically how I can describe it best. So yeah, it's very satisfying to see it all, you know, the high quality stuff go onto the lower quality skull. I don't know, but yeah, so that's pretty much it for that part of baking your high poly onto your low poly skeleton, I guess. And yeah, there it is. It's lovely, isn't it? But yeah, and when you're in Substance Painter, as I'm going to show you in a sec, when it eventually goes to it, bada boop, I'm going to show you now some details that you can add to it. So to start with, it's nice for what it is, but we can make it add a bit more like stylized detail to it. So what I went to do is I went down onto textures where everything was baked. So we got the baked stuff there, and now it's like we're going to take this one, the curvature map, and we're going to put it on the base color. And now the base color is where you basically it's like layers in Photoshop, so you add layers to it. The more color you want, the more layers you add, essentially. So we put in a fill layer, so we go with that, and all this detail of like normal, rough, metal, stuff like that. So metal, for example, is making it look metal. We don't need that. And roughness is making it look very shiny or very not shiny. We don't need any of those. All we need is the color. So we get rid of metal, get rid of muff, get rid of normal map, and then we just got color. So we're just playing around with the color. That's all good. But like I said, we need to have that curvature map and pop it onto the basic color. So now the curvature map takes the form and it gives us a little bit of detail. So now, and again, like Photoshop. So yeah, you can see it there. Looks nice. But at the moment, I'm just going to be changing in a second the part where you have to put it on overlay. So again, very much similar to Photoshop. So yeah, now that we got that, so it has nice little like stylized, like almost pencil-like style to it, which is good because we want it stylized and have a lot of nice detail. There's a little bit of bumps here and there, which I had to go back and fix after exporting this. I went into Photoshop and changed up and worked a little bit on cleaning up the little lines that were a bit jagged. So yeah, that was a little hiccup which I had to sort out. And again, didn't record because not very that all there at the moment. But anywho, so we're doing the same thing. Instead of the curvature map, we're adding the AO map, or ambient occlusion. And for this, it's basically the same premise, only except for instead of the pencil like cartoon detail, it covers like shadow. So if you're going to see in a minute without it, if you can see the difference, it will come without shadow, and then with it's a lot more shadow. And now comes the part where now we've done all the nitty gritty stuff. You can now do the main color for the pumpkin, which will be a nice little tint of orange. Orange. And yeah, just playing around with the colors is part of the fun when you're 3D modeling. For me, it's the main thing really. As well as ZBrush adding nice detail is a lot of fun, but it's very time consuming. But this is tons of fun. So yeah, I just added a nice little bit of colour for the base of the pumpkin. And now we're doing the same thing with just the brown side of it for the little stub on the head of the pumpkin. And yeah, we're going to add a little bit of brown to it to try and just give it a little bit of that tree vibe, you know, like if elven tree or grove, whatever. As you can tell, I don't know how pumpkins grow. I go to a pumpkin field, but whatever. But yeah, so we're going through getting the nice little wood texture to it, and just at the moment we got it as just the whole thing. So what we got to do is we've got to basically just put in a black mask on it, so it's covering it again like it was in ZBrush, and then when I paint on it now, it's letting me paint on the specific item that I wanted to paint on. But the only downside to that is that you can paint anywhere, as you'll soon find out. Yeah, there you go. So you don't want to do that. So a quick way out of this is on the left side there, where my mouse is. You can click on these, and then on the actual squares of the model, you can literally just click on one of them, and then it'll color it in like a coloring book or a digital coloring book. But to make it very quick, you can click on the side where it shows your UV map, where you just can connect it there. So yeah, that's the little tree stub, I don't know, branch of a bit of the pumpkin. But yeah, so those are the basic sort of stuff as it loads. But yeah, so I almost forgot about the editing out this part, but this one was it had to autosave, which is very unfortunate. But to sum it up, yeah, it's basically just colouring in. This is in Substance Painter. It's a bit of an older version of Substance Painter, because the people who own Photoshop now have Substance Painter and now own it. So yeah, not easy, but still. Now, I digress. We're moving on to the extra detail. So again, the pumpkin is starting to look a lot nicer now, a lot more like a pumpkin. And now I'm adding to this yellow eyes for the pumpkin to make it look a little bit more, creepy, corally. And yeah, so we can add a bit of yellow to this sort of, tone to it, I guess. And yeah, it's just going to be adding a little bit of yellow to it, and maybe add a bit of glow effect to it in the end, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, so now I'm just going to go for another black mask, another fill layer, and it's just going to be the same thing that we did with our little branch thing. Just going to colour it in, change the brush to make it a bit more solid, and then just start painting. So yeah, just going full ham on it, and yeah, painting it out until you can get all the details covered up. And yeah, it's actually really relaxing when I'm doing it, because I get to listen to relaxing music and just get on with the work. You can really turn your brain off and just enjoy it. Honestly guys, I really recommend doing it. It's a lot of fun modelling. It's very time consuming, but as I always say, but it's a lot of fun and very rewarding once you see results. So after that, fast forward a bit, now I've got the nice little look to it of all the creepy yellow smile, but now I decided to add a little bit extra. So this part here, same thing, I've added a base colour, but this time I also included immersion to it, so it gives a nice little glow effect. So that one, the immersion bit, will be important, so you need to add that bit in. So it's the same premise, it's just painting the immersive texture onto it. So the immersive part will give it a nice glow when we get into the final rendering side of it. So yeah, just adding a bit of the base colour and the immersive part as I'm going through like crazy on here. And again, you can see how the glow effect changes when I change colour. So I should hopefully say on the channels, on the immersive one, you just have to click on the add part, and then you can add immersive in, because unfortunately it's not included in that bit. But yeah, so that is pretty much our pumpkin. Nice, spooky, scary pumpkin. And now I think it's time to bring it into the final stepping stone of rendering it and presenting it to make it look pretty. But yeah. Blender. So Blender is a fascinating program. You can do anything in it: modeling, rendering. You it's like everything I did but combined into one thing, and it's free. But yeah, so I'm going to do the rendering in Blender because it's relatively what I do. And yeah, so I added the parts, so there's a camera there where you can do the rendering side of it. Just see how the camera is. And then a little trick that I put, if I just drag that bit down, and then it comes 2 screens. And then when I focus it on the camera again, now I have one bit where I can move around freely and look at the bits and bobs, and then the top half, which is just the final, look of the camera for my render. So now I'm just going to add a little texture, the pumpkin texture, which I've already painted on the old one before, Substance Painter. So now we're just going to bring that in. So I exported it obviously from Substance Painter, and now I'm going to import it on an image texture. And now hopefully when I click on this, and then it'll do the same up there. There we go. Now it comes up with the image of our painted pumpkin detail all done on there. But yeah, so that's how it looks. It's not bad. It's not too shabby at all. But now we are able to try and just play around a bit and try and get the immersive or immersion sort of texture to it to give it a bit of a glow. So I added an image texture to this, and then I'm gonna put it in the immersion one. It's got nothing on it at the moment, so I have to open it and get the immersion texture on it. So I added it in. Now it's got the nice glowing effect. So you can see there, it's adding a nice little glow. It's very spooky. I love it. So that's a nice little base. That's pretty much our pumpkin all there and dusted. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add some plain like flooring basically, just to give it something to quite literally stand on. So yeah, we're just going to stretch out the floor and as far and as vast as possible, well at least to where the camera can't see the edges. And then yeah, on the final bit there, on just the right side, I clicked on it, and that's where it shows the lighting, the final render look. And then again, most of this is just playing around, screwing around with the lighting. And then I duplicate the light here, and then again just playing around with all the different light bulbs basically, until you get a very good, very nice result. And yeah, just play it. It's a lot of trial and error with the lighting. Trust me, this is the part where you need to really focus and make sure you get it all right. So I duplicated the floor after I'd done a bit of the lighting, and now I'm going to make the second part of the floor, which I duplicated. I'm going to push it back, which I'm doing now, and I'm making it the background. So that's basically just to give it, again, the scene a bit of foreground and a background, just a bit of show in detail rather than just an empty void, in the behind the scenes, So, and then I'm just going to go on to the texture parts, and again, like I say, Blender, you can do anything, so I just add some very basic textures, nothing really too fancy, and just added a bit of blue, and a bit of purple, played around a bit with the colours, and again, a little bit more playing around with the lighting. And then yeah, it's just trying to get that nice creepy looking vibe on it. So again, the lighting is something that I always tend to go for. Is usually I have this stereotypical like 3-point lighting. If you're a YouTuber, you know what I'm talking about. So there's like 3 main points of the lighting. It's similar to this, but there's also some other things you have to do because it's going to be a still image, and you're going to have to make sure everything is pretty much as see through. You can see through it as much as possible. So yeah, after all that, we finally got a very basic sort of look to our pumpkin, which is good. But if you want, that's the whole premise. If you want, you can add a hat, witch hat maybe, or maybe some mini pumpkins to add to the cuteness. Maybe even add some autumn leaves, perhaps. Some autumn leaves, lovely. Maybe some bats behind it, just to add a bit of flair, some little background noise. Yeah, some nice little Halloween vibes. Maybe even a bit of fog, who knows? Just like that. But yeah, so that is pretty much all done and dusted, guys. And as you can see, hopefully I can show you here the full result of my pumpkin, my Halloween pumpkin. I wish I could have gone into detail about the wizard hat and the bats and whatnot, but in short, it's pretty much a similar process. The hat is pretty much, I did the exact same steps as I did with the pumpkin. Same thing with the little pumpkins, with the bats and with the leaves. Those two were just done with as a plane, and then I just added a PNG image onto it. So yeah, that was basically just not cheating, but it's pretty much just a simple way and a very effective way of just getting some smaller details just to add to a bit of the detail of the final piece. But yeah, that's pretty much it, really. I'm so sorry that I had to. I'm very sorry if it sounded very rushed from me, because I tried to keep up with some of the the clips, the whole clip that I put through. Again, apologies in advance that I didn't manage to get my recorded version of me like live interacting. But I don't know. It's for what it was. I had a blast making this and showing it to you guys. Finally, was something I've been wanting to do for ages, and I didn't know quite how to go about it. So I hope that you guys will be okay in following this. And the main thing is for you guys to relax and to sleep to this. So if you didn't like this and you made it this far, hopefully you're asleep, or hopefully you're still watching. Either or. But yeah, that's pretty much how you make things in games for 3D modeling. But yeah, whether it be portfolio, whether it be in game sort of stuff, is a little bit different because you need to put it through an engine. But anyway, I don't need to fill you guys' heads in already with information. I'm just downloading more info into your heads. But yeah, I hope that you guys had a good time as much as I did. But most importantly, I hope you found this very informative and relaxing. But yeah, that's our pumpkin, guys. And I would like to say good night and happy Halloween.